right, we're going to do the air nailer safety. Let me check and make sure this video is working real fast. Yep, we're good. All right, first one that we're going to hit, we're just going to show you what all the different types are, what the different jobs you use them for, how to use them safely, and what the features are. This particular one, this is a framing nailer. It gets its name for the framing of a house, right? So we call it a framing nailer. It shoots 16 penny nails, 8 penny nails. All right, your 16 penny nails, anytime you've got 2x lumber to 2x lumber. If you've got sheeting or sheet material such as OSB to 2x lumber, you put 8 penny nails in. All right, the nails in this are big. I couldn't get these nails out; they're kind of stuck. But if you put the nails in, put this, get that up. That holds the nails up against the top. This particular nailer, this one is really stuck. Wow. All right, sorry. This particular nailer has got butane cartridge, all right? That is a gas. You put that in the back of the gun, and those run out, so you gotta keep rebuying those. Wow. And it's also got a battery, all right? Smaller battery. The first position is off, and the second position is on, all right? Now, this is a pass load. You can buy whatever brand you want. Obviously, this is cordless, meaning that it's got a battery and butane. They do have just completely cordless, which is, it doesn't have the butane, it just runs off the battery. DeWalt makes one. Those are pretty nice. This is about a $400 gun. All right, this one is messed up at the moment. I actually need to have it fixed. The safety feature here, all right, this thing will not shoot unless you push in that safety feature. So I'm gonna use this particular gun. Now, if I'm gonna shoot at too much of an angle, right, and I'll push in my safety feature, if my nail, instead of shooting into the wood, is gonna glance off. And if it glances off, you know, it hits somebody in the eye, and getting hit in the eye with a nail is gonna be, it's not gonna feel good. Potentially blinds you, permanently injure your eye, right? And so this is a framing nailer that you are gonna use primarily on the framing of a house. So if you're shooting larger lumber, 2x4s, 2x8s, 2x6s, sheet material, anything like that, this is nice. Like I said, now this costs $400, and so I'm gonna only afford to have, you know, 1 or 2 of these things. Therefore, most of the time I have you guys doing hammer and nail. And the good thing about hammer and nail, number one, you learn the skill of actually hammering, and number two, it keeps everybody busy. If I've only got 2 of these, I've only got 2 kids working. If I've got hammers and hand drive nails, I've got, let's say, you know, 15 or 20 of you working. So that's the benefit to the hammer and nail. The nails that come in this, if you look at the nails here, I don't know if you can see those or not, but the hand drive nails are actually bigger than the 16 penny nails that go in there. The hand drive nails, I got a 16 penny nail here, they have a thicker diameter shank on them and just a little bit slightly longer. So we got a framing nailer. The next 2 that we've got are finish nailers. All right, this is a pass load finish nailer. This is a Bostitch finish nailer. The pass load is straight, all right, and this is angled. I don't know if you can see the difference between the 2. All right, this one is a 16 gauge. All right, this is a 15 gauge. So 16 gauge, 15 gauge. The 16 gauge is slightly smaller in diameter than the 15 gauge, slightly smaller. All right. The 16 gauge, it says 16 gauge right here, and straight. Straight means it shoots straight nails. The angled part of this right here allows you to get into places that you can't with a straight one, such as a lot of people use these with crown molding. In order to put the nails in, take the nails out, if you will pull this down and push that little button, your nails will fall out. 15, when I say 16 gauge, that refers to the diameter of the nail, right? The thickness, the gauge of the nail. So 16 gauge, the thickness of the nail. And finish nails have a tiny little head on them, and that is for going all the way into the wood, and that way you don't see the nail. Now it's going to leave a hole, but that hole is going to get covered over by either putty, caulk, paint, something. The correct way to put the nails in, making sure that you put the nails in the right way. All right, the head of the nail should face the back of the gun. The head of the nail should face the back of the gun. And you also want to make sure that you got the right size nail going in the right size gun. So this is designed to take a 16 gauge nail. So you don't need to put 15 gauge nails in a 16 gauge gun, all right, or vice versa. You don't want to put 16 gauge in this gun. It's going to jam up, it's going to mess up, it's not going to fire correctly, and you're probably going to mess up your nailer. Now, the reason that this gets its name as a finish nailer is it's for the finished work in a house. Finished work in a house is going to be anything like your crown molding, baseboard, cabinets, casing around doors and windows, anything like that. So as far as your finish nailer goes, this is what you're going to choose for those medium, mid-sized projects. Finished work in a house is where it gets its name. All right, now it would do more than that. Got a little birdhouse piece here. Hopefully you guys can see that. And so if I wanted to, air hose wise, if you wanted to hook the air hose up and we wanted to shoot this thing, air hose, just pull the collar back on the hose, put it here on the air and like push up. All right, let go. Now we gotta make sure we got our safety glasses on. And I just grabbed some scrap pieces from over there. Now there's a knot right here. I don't know if you can see that in the video. So more than likely, a lot of times knots are hard spots in the wood where a limb was out on the tree. If I shoot in that knot, a lot of times it will throw my nail out sideways or something like that. So you kind of got to be careful whenever you're shooting where there's going to be a knot. All right, and shoots a nail, got a tiny little hole. I don't know if you can see that tiny little hole there. There's a nail here that I shot earlier. Tiny little hole here with a nail in it. We put putty over that, sand it down. Hopefully you wouldn't know it was a nail, okay? So it makes a little bit of a loud sound whenever you shoot it. It's not terrible though. This one, same deal. And I always tell my kids, if you watch where I put my hand, I'll show you one more time. Watch where I put my hands. I'm gonna hold this piece of wood. If you'll notice my hand is flat. If I hold my hand like this right here and I shoot there, that nail could either go through and hit my hand, come out the side and hit my finger, come out the other side and hit my thumb. All right, so you gotta make sure that your hand is out of the way. And so I'm gonna hold my hand flat. I'm gonna try to flush that up. Not that this really matters because I'm gonna throw it away. All right. So, shot my nail, third nail, 1, 2, 3. That's probably all we really need for this particular project. But finish nailer, you can build like small projects, casing around the house, cabinets, crown molding, baseboard, anything like that, small birdhouse. 15, this is a 16 gauge nailer, this is 15 gauge nailer. It says all that on the gun, so that way you know what to buy. It's got 1 inch to 2.5 inch nails. That means it'll hold a 2.5 inch nail. 15 gauge, 25 degree. That way you get the right nails. Let me make sure this video is still working. I've had problems with it not recording before. We're so far so good. Nails wise, I just talked about this. Got to put the right nail in the right gun. So 16 gauge nails, 1.5 inches long. They make different lengths depending on the project, the different thicknesses of the wood. So, you know, if you've got a thicker project, you're going to get longer nails. If you've got a thinner project, you're going to get shorter nails. 1.5 inches, 16 gauge, straight. Straight, this one's straight, that one's angled. All right, you got angled gun here. So if you wanted angled stuff, all right, you can see the difference between these two. They make them different colors, primarily just for these angled nails actually go in this angled gun right here. This is actually a finished nailer as well. This is a completely cordless one. Cordless meaning I don't have to hook it to an air hose. So if you look at this one is a 16 gauge. This one's 16 gauge, but these are straight, these are angled. These angled ones go in this gun here. These straight ones go in that gun there. So this is 2-inch nails. These are 16 gauge 2-inch nails. All right. Now this bill here, this is about $400. These are about $200. So this is double. We've got 2 of these, but you know, if we're gonna go, especially if we're gonna go somewhere for a short period of time, I don't have to lug around an air compressor. I don't have to take the air hose with me. All I gotta take is this, 1 battery, and we're ready to rock and roll. So this thing really is nice. And just as a bonus, this isn't really a big deal, but you don't have the sound if you listen to it. All right, shoots it in. And I did forget to mention this. Different, depending on the brand that you got, you can set the depth of how far in your nail goes with these little finish nailers. So with this particular finish nailer, to set your depth, there's a little scroll bar here. If you scroll it all the way to the top, that's a shallow nail. If you scroll it all the way down, that's a deep nail. All right, and anywhere in between is obviously in between. With this particular one, I haven't done this one in long. Oh, it's got a scroll bar as well. Here, right here. You scroll it this way, that's shallow. Scroll it that way, that's deep. All right. So pretty nice little nailer, finished nailer. Costs about $400, and really makes life nice. The next one we're talking about is the brad nailers. Now these little brad nailers are for real small stuff, really small. Now you could use that on a birdhouse, although these nails are so small, that one doesn't have nails in it. This one's got nails in the thing. Got little 18 gauge nails, real thin nails, small head. They call these brads. The nails, instead of calling nails, although we still call them nails, people call them brads. And so if you look on the thing here, it's an 18 gauge. It'll hold anywhere from 5/8 nail to 2-inch nail, and it says operating pressure 70 to 100 PSI. Typically, I try to run our air compressors on anywhere from 80 to 90 PSI. All right, that's how much pressure. Because if you, a lot of these have a rubber bladder inside of these that you can pop, and you have to send them off to get them fixed if you run too high of an air compressor PSI on your air compressor. So these little deals right here are real small projects, something that just needs something tiny holding them together. You don't want a real big nail in it. Can use these for like quarter round or shoe molding. We don't use these a ton, but we do have them if we need them. And I'm going to run through just the safety aspect of all this. We went through framing nailers. Number one, you got to have on safety glasses. That's just to keep the nail from ricocheting off of anything, hitting you in the eye, glancing off the side of a piece of wood. Make sure the nails are the right size for the gun. So I've already talked about this a little bit. 15 gauge gun. We do not want to put 16 gauge nails in it. I like to tell students to think of it like a shotgun. You got a 20 gauge and a 12 gauge. A 20 gauge shell is smaller than a 12 gauge. So you could take a 20 gauge shell and put it in a 12 gauge gun, but that's unsafe. You do not want to do that. It's going to blow a hole out the side of your barrel. All right, so that is dangerous. Same deal with this. Now this probably isn't as dangerous as doing that, but you do not want to put a 16 gauge nail in a 15 gauge gun. Okay. You got to make sure that the nails are inserted the proper way. The head of the nail should be towards the back of the gun. Make sure the safety feature is working properly. All of these have a safety feature, that little safety feature on the end. You push it in, it fires. Now I've told students, do not ever pull this back and attempt to fire it. If you do that in my class, you will not go back to the shop. The shop is a privilege, it's not a right. All right? And the other thing is, it's kind of stupid because your fingers are really, really close to where the nails are at, and it's going to shoot you in the finger. Okay? So you ever do that, you'll be sitting in class the rest of your day. Make sure that you got the right size nailer for the job. Now this is a big deal, making sure you do not want to use a framing nailer, something like this that shoots these huge, gigantic nails. This is a hand drive nail, but if I shoot that into that, it's just going to shatter my wood. My wood's going to crack, and it's kind of dangerous because there's so much power going into such a small object, right, that you're trying to hold on to. So you don't want to put a nail this size into obviously something small. The opposite is also true. You don't want to take a little tiny nailer like one of these little brad nailer or a little finish nailer and try to insert it into a 2x4 or any 2x material, because the nails aren't going to hold anything. They just snap right in half. It's not going to hold your project together. Right? Make sure the area beyond the wood is clear to shoot. A lot of times, if you're shooting whatever you're shooting below the wood, make sure there's just no electrical cords back there. Make sure that there are cases where guys have been shooting sheeting on the side of a house, putting OSB on the side of a house, and the guy missed the stud. His buddy's on the other side, and it shoot through the OSB and hit his buddy. Okay, so you really got to be careful of what you're shooting through and the pressure of the gun matched to whatever the material is. All right, make sure your free hand is not within 4 inches of where you're going to shoot. Let's say that, so the hand that's operating the nail gun in this situation, my right hand, this hand is holding the wood in place. I say keep this hand either flat like this or within at least 4 inches away from where you're nailing. The reason that I chose 4 inches is because a 16 penny nail is what the framing nailer shoots, and it is 3.5 inches long. And so that, if my hand's 4 inches away, I've still got a 1/2 inch of clearance before anything hits my finger. So you do not want to have your hands anywhere near where you're going to be nailing. All right, you've got to keep that in mind when you're nailing. All right, make sure that whenever you pull the trigger that the nail is going to make contact with wood. And what I mean by that is, I don't need the nail hitting the wood and glancing off, like that you're at a steep enough angle that the nail is going to go into the wood, all right? Or if you're nailing on the edge of something, that nail, if I shot that right now, would come off the side. It wouldn't even hit my wood here. We already went over there now. This is just kind of a given, but kind of treat these like you would, a firearm. Don't put your finger on the trigger until you're ready to fire. And you don't want to hold your finger. You don't want to hold your finger on the trigger and hook up the air line. I know that it's got a safety feature on it that will, hopefully keeps you from firing. But the way I tell kids is, these things are there for Plan B. Plan A is you actually being safe with the tool. So keep your finger off the trigger until you get ready to fire the gun. If you do end up getting a nail jam, let's say that it jams, you can do this right here and fix it, but I would rather you come to me if you get a nail jam. This is a $400 gun, and if anybody's gonna break it, I'd rather it be me than you guys. All right, so if you get a nail jam, let me fix it. Keep the nailer pointed in a safe direction. This is kind of firearm safety. I don't know if you guys have ever had anybody come over, to your house, and maybe you were showing them your guns, and maybe they had never been around guns, and they start, just kind of waving the gun wherever, pointing it all around the house, and everybody tries to stop them, like, whoa, 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 stop, don't point the gun up in the air, right? So I kind of treat these that way, although these aren't as necessarily as dangerous. I like to make sure that I just kind of obey the rules of what I call firearm safety. Don't point this thing at anybody. Keep it pointed in a safe direction. Safe direction is either down or up or not at a person. This is the same concept as keeping your hand 4 inches away, but keep your feet. I've had students that they use their feet, all right, to hold 2 pieces of wood together while they nail it, while they bend over and nail it. You do not want the nail to shoot in the side of your foot. So you want your feet to also be at least 4 inches away from where you're going to nail. We talked about that. I think we're good. So, quick recap: framing nailer, framing a house. Finish nailers, finish work in a house, such as baseboards, cabinets, trim around windows. Little brad nailers, they are for real small, tiny, intricate work. And if you've got any other questions, there should be either a quiz or video or something to go along with this.